Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Today, I have some special guests with us. They actually have a movie that's on Tubi right now, so Tubi exclusive, and it's called Where the Devil Roams. I have the filmmakers as well as the stars of the movie, John Adams and Toby Poser. Guys, welcome to the Horror Room.
Hey, Travis.
Thanks for having us, Travis.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And to everybody, you and your family are known as the Adams family because not only are you husband and wife are also the filmmakers and stars, but your daughters actually star in your movies as well.
And direct and
direct.
build sets, and yeah, we're four lunatics that all happen to be a family.
That's absolutely amazing. So, but I had a chance to watch Where the Devil Roams. It is a fun, dark movie. Tell everybody a little bit about it.
Where the Devil Roams is about a family of murderous traveling sideshow carnies. Yeah, I can give you more.
Yeah. Well, I'll add that it's basically a mix of Frankenstein, The Grapes of Wrath, and a little bit of Bonnie and Clyde. And we had been really watching a lot of black and white movies, and so we wanted to have a little fun with shooting a little black and white stuff. And the great thing about the horror community is they're open-minded enough to watch a movie that fades to black, and it's like they're super open-minded about like artistic choices. So we had a lot of fun making Where the Devil Roams.
It's a beautiful shot movie. I mean, just the cinematography, it has that artistic look to it, and it almost like pushes you back in time to the old sideshow, freak show circuits.
Perfect. That's what we wanted to, that's what we wanted to celebrate. We looked at a lot of old photographs of county fairs and carnies back in the Depression, and we realized, well, first of all, we realized that in its like brutality, it's super beautiful. And the other thing we realized is that that could be production values that we could do, because back then they didn't have a lot. They painted their art on canvases. They built things with old 2x4s. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't high production values. And so we were able to celebrate that look in this movie. And that was a real pleasure.
And one thing I'm going to say too about your movie, which I don't see in a lot of indie horror, the soundtrack, the music is bopping in this. I mean, it's some beautiful songs and scores. I mean, it's a great soundtrack.
Thank you.
John really curated his composition for this movie just so beautifully. I have to agree with you. He really, it wasn't just like, oh, I like this song, so let's just put it on there. He really wrote for the film instead of kind of building the film around the music, which sometimes happens. I agree. I love this soundtrack, and it's fun too. The anachronism of the 1930s shoot with this rock soundtrack was kind of thrilling for us.
Yeah, we're lucky. We're a band. We're a family band. Toby's being nice and pointing out that about but it's our soundtrack. And one of the things that happened was when we first wanted to make a movie from the 30s, we tried to write 1930s music, and It was terrible. Like we put that shit on our like first couple edits, and it was like, it was a bit scary. Because we definitely all thought, this could be a real bomber, and then we were like, well, let's not panic yet. Let's try something else. And we had been watching a show called Peaky Blinders.
Great show.
Great show. And they are not afraid of laying down some heavy rock or whatever the hell they want to over classic images. And so we thought, well, let's try that, because we were as a band, we were getting into more heavy stuff. And so we were like, well, let's just try to put our heavy stuff over this imagery and see how it looks. And it really, as soon as we laid it on there, we were like, okay, this is what we want to do. Just stick with the heavy.
And it just falls right in place, because I'm like, wow, this is, like you said, it's a 1930s, but it has this modern rock to it, and it's unique.
Oh, great.
Now, Now, your whole family is in the horror filmmaking business. Now, how did that happen?
Well, in 2010, we had been living in Los Angeles. Zelda was only 6 at the time, and our older girl Lulu was 11. And we decided we were just going to take off for a year in this old RV that we bought, that had almost 100,000 miles on it already. And we were going to truck around the country and just try our hand at making a film. We were all kind of interested from various angles. And that was our first film, Rumble Strips, in 2010. And we just fell in love. It just was like something in our DNA either clicked on or just changed, and we've been doing it ever since.
Amazing. Now, I do have a question. So I have a lot of filmmakers. They're able to get their projects up on Tubi. Now, how do you get that Tubi exclusive title? How does that work?
Because we work with a company, we're called Yellow Veil. And Yellow Veil, the title of Yellow Veil is what's
Pictures?
No,
Yeah.
but
there are sales managers,
Yeah.
management.
they're like our sales agent. We've worked with them for 3 films. And so when we're done with a movie, we give it to Yellow Veil, and Yellow Veil has a network of potential customers, and they show them to everyone, and then people make offers, and Yellow Veil does all that for us. And it's really great. Number one, because we get to stay out of the business, which none of us really like much.
Yeah.
And they're just great people to work with. They treat us like the small family that we are. Like, they don't treat us like some kind of industry entity or anything. And so Hellbender was bought by Shudder through that process. The Deeper You Dig went to a company called Dark Sky. And then this one went to Tubi. And all the companies that we've worked for, all those distributors have been really great. Shudder was great to us, and now Tubi's been just really great to us, treating us as what we are, which is, Toby, John, Lulu, and Zelda.
And that's amazing because, I mean, just marketing wise, I'm a marketing guy, just marketing wise. So something like when I go on Tubi and I see Tubi exclusive, it definitely draws my attention. Like, what is this? And I think it helps a movie stand out.
Well, that's cool. I mean, this is our first time at the Tubi Rodeo, and honestly, we're very, very happy, because not only they've given us a lot of freedom. Like, not only are we an exclusive, but we're also able to play on video on demand, and
nice.
we're able to make our own Blu-ray. So we're able to be on a lot of different platforms, and that's, no filmmaker could ask for anything better.
And they have a wide net. Like, they got a lot of customers. So we've noticed, like, because we're active on social media, because that's really our only way to talk to people and to kind of like, compete. And we notice a whole new wave of people talking to us, and a different kind of energy, because Tubi has a super wide net.
And Tubi is like, I've been a Tubi fan even before I even started the show. I've always been a Tubi fan before it blew up. And it's a place where like indie filmmakers can get their projects out and get eyes on it that normally wouldn't get that attention. And I mean, Tubi is definitely doing great things, especially for the indie filmmakers.
We agree.
Yeah, and it seems like they have a fun kind of roster of horror that's growing, which is cool to be on that trajectory,
Yeah, and I'm noticing on social media, people are posting like some deep dives too, like that. And we know the people at Tubi now, and they are very interested in cultivating a great, like, kind of deep well. And they're really cool people. So the reason it's working, and the reason we're all enjoying it, is because the people that are curating it are paying attention.
I think I saw The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari on Tubi. I mean,
Really?
talk about isn't that cool?
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, because they have a lot of the classics. Because I recently watched the original Swamp Thing.
Oh, nice.
Tubi, and I was like, wow. I mean, it has such a. I mean, I grew up 80s, and I'm a huge 80s horror fan. You can find a lot of even the older stuff on Tubi.
Yeah.
And great thing about it is free also.
Yes.
Right. There you go. It's
Yes, can't be free.
can't be free.
All right. Now, I do have to ask you too a question about the movie without giving anything away. Now, Toby, your character is, I would say, she has a short fuse, and John, your job is to kind of calm her down a little bit. Now, is that how your wife is in real life? Is she the one with the shorter fuse between the two of you?
I would say Toby, like I'm the more in your face person actually, but Toby's probably far more dangerous.
Okay.
You know? And so that's going to be my answer. You know, you do. We all of us, me and the girls, you know, have some great stories about, you know, Toby is a smooth ocean, but you know, down in that ocean, like there is some deep, dark, fucking crazy monsters, and do not stir them up because we've watched the monsters come up, and not to us, but to people who have messed with the family, and it's pretty awesome. We could make a movie about that.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, maybe we will one day. I mean, we lived in New York City, and you know, there was some events, and in Cal. Yeah. Anyway, there's been some events, so that's my answer.
I think the girls used to call it like the lion witch monster.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's the lion because I got the hair, and if you stir me up, it just.
But it's it's not only actually she can box, so there's
nice.
the physical potential that's there that she knows how to carry, but also, as you know, if you've watched our movies, a lot of our witchery and a lot of our sorcery and a lot of our voodoo comes from Toby, and she can also lay down a hex that you won't like. You know, because that's the whole problem with the hex is you go home after been hexed and you wonder, fuck, is that going to be real? Like, is that going to happen?
Or is it just in your head?
Or is it just in your head? Worst of all, that's worse than a black eye.
And so I know how that is because my mother was big into voodoo growing up. I knew about it as a kid, but like I found out more about it like I got older, and like yeah, you didn't want to get on her wrong side.
Well, one of the beautiful things, I was a religion major in college, and one of my classes that I took that I really liked was about cults, and they talked about the power of like actually curses in Haiti. And one of the reasons the curses, or at least this was their their take on it, like the professor's take, his thesis, whatever, was that one of the reasons that those curses work so well is because people do believe in them.
Yes.
And so you get cursed, and so you believe, oh my God, I've been cursed by someone who has the power to curse. But then also the people around you believe in that too, and so it's almost the power of belief that brings those curses to fruition, you know? And exactly. So it's funny when Toby lays one down, because you know that we don't know what happens to those people, right? Because we don't know how much they believe. And anyway, it's all fun stuff.
Now, how exciting is it for the both of you that your daughters decide to get into the industry as well?
It's such a gift, Travis, when your kids want to hang out with you no matter what you're doing, whether it's sitting down to a meal or getting behind the camera to shoot a scene. So we feel very lucky in that sense. I mean, Zelda has really grown up the longest with it because she was around. She only started college a year and a half ago, whereas Lulu is 25 now. So she was already off at college when we were kind of hitting our stride with film. So it's lucky when she's around too, because she brings a really fun kind of wild element, and she's super athletic. So you can always say to Lulu, even when she was maybe 14 and we were shooting in the desert, you could say, Lulu, nobody wants to climb up that small cliff and shoot the scene from above. Will you do it? And she'd be like, hell yeah. You know, like, will you shoot this in where the devil roams scenes in a blizzard? Will you stand out through the window, you know, the roof window of our car and use the gimbal to shoot this scene in a moving car? And she's like, of course, you know, and shellacked with ice. Yeah. And she's just so brave. And, but it's wonderful. And it's good to have their points of view. And Zelda, who's now 20, to see her evolution as a writer and director is incredible. Just to see that confidence building in her, and how smart she is about what the film needs. It really is. We're very lucky.
And that's a credible thing to have, because I mean, the first thing I remember while I was doing research, by the way, shout out to Chris Shern. He's actually, I did an interview with him a couple weeks ago, and he actually turned me on to your movies, and I'm glad he did.
And Chris is so fun to talk to. He's a terrific filmmaker. I love watching his stuff and his music. He's a great musician. He's a great editor. He's got great original, like, cinematic visions. Like, if you watch his films, they're like super inspiring. I really like him. I'm looking forward to being able to do something with him. I really like his acting too. He's very like
amazing.
Yeah, to me, he's super relaxed. Like, actually, that's kind of one of my, I like everything he does, but I have to say that what struck me first when I watched his films was his acting was so genuine.
I kind of wish I had his voice too.
Oh yeah,
that voice is, it's like alpha. It's like, I wish I had that voice.
You
got a good voice, yeah.
Travis, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in North Carolina.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right.
That's where my
I'm
mom's
in Baltimore now, though, but North Carolina.
Oh, I lived in Baltimore.
Well, wait, how
how
did you meet Chris Shern?
So I actually did an interview with him about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
For Evil Lurks, right?
Yeah, for Evil Lurks.
Great.
And that's an excellent movie as well.
Yeah,
on Tubi.
I agree. He's fantastic.
All right, so got 2 more questions to ask you real quick too. So right now, when it comes to streaming, and it's a lot easier for indie filmmakers to get their projects on, do you also think that's also watering down the product because anybody can get their product up on streaming services?
I don't think so. I think that we all have choice. It just gives us more choices, and we all can watch what we want. I'm not a big industry film lover. Like, I don't love big shiny films. I really like smaller films. They turn me on. I like watching them. I don't think there's any problem with the high quantity of art coming out. And I don't think anybody should be edited out or gatekeeped out.
I agree. I think there's so many people out there who want to create and who do create, and how wonderful to be able to see their work. So I agree. It's I think if you're making stuff, you should be able to show your stuff.
I mean, back when, like you had said, you grew up in the 80s. I grew up in the 80s too. We had, no, we could go to the VHS store. We all went to the VHS store, and then there was like the horror section where you did have like kind of independent stuff. But basically we were only given a small selection of films to watch in the theater. And those were, and all that, everything was curated by the Hollywood business. And I'm so glad that all those pillars of kind of power have completely fallen down, because they still have their small amount of power, and they can make their Hollywood movies, which I like watching. Like, we just watched last night, The Iron Claw. It was really fun, and that's a big movie, but I think it's super special that I can see a movie that some girl makes in Iowa with her iPhone.
Exactly.
I want to know what she has to say, and if I don't like it, I just stop watching.
Exactly. I've been even able with streaming service now to watch filmmakers from Ireland. Like, I've had a couple from filmmakers from all across the whole entire world, and I'm able to watch their movies and see what the rest of the world is doing when it comes to horror, and it's amazing.
I think you just said something super important and super great that we notice is one of the things that the horror community is doing is allowing, you're in Baltimore, we're talking to you, we're up in the Catskills, we're talking to, some woman in Northern Ireland because she's seen our movie on some little tiny streaming service. And it's like, it's a great conversation in these days when there's a lot of like, not to get political or anything like that, but a lot of anger and hatred. But I find in the horror community, there's a real great cohesion, and we are talking and having fun, and we're talking about subjects, and it's a super positive energy, and it's great.
Particularly within this genre, there's just a hunger. Like I'm a snob, but I can't think of other genres where there's the same hunger. You know, for all I know, there are like rom-com clubs out there. They're like, please, I can't wait for the next rom-com. Maybe they are, and good for them. I'm happy for them. But I mean, in the horror, in sci-fi, and fantasy genre, they're just people that whose bellies are never full because they constantly have this hunger, and I think that's wonderful. I mean, it just comes like with this built-in energy and generosity that we have really been grateful for.
Travis, how many movies do you watch a year? Horror movies.
Okay, so I've been doing this channel for pretty much a year now. I've watched more horror movies than in my whole entire life, probably in this year, because I'm interviewing a lot of filmmakers.
Yeah,
but normally I would say I probably see 5 to 6 big budget horror movies in the theater. I'm still a theater fan, so I like supporting the theaters. I'll probably say I do 5 or 6 of them, and I probably do anywhere between. I don't smoke marijuana anymore, but when I was smoking marijuana quite often, when I was smoking weed quite often, I was watching a lot of Tubi movies, and I even enjoyed like the bad ones. Like I even enjoyed them just for a good laugh or a chuckle. I still found them entertaining, but I would say altogether I probably watch about 50 to 60 new horror movies a year.
Yeah, then that's great. That's a lot. It's cool.
Hey Travis, does the Charles Theater still exist in Baltimore?
Yes, the Charles Theater is absolutely amazing. I see so I go there often. And they, by the way, for people who don't know, the Charles Theater is an indie movie theater. It's actually in the art district of Baltimore near MICA, which is one of the biggest art schools in the country.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of indie horror movies there, like Midsummer. What else did I see there? I think I saw the first Terrifier there, but they show a lot of the indie horror movies, just indie movies in general. Charles Theater is still there and it's still popping.
That is so cool because that was my art house growing up. Like the first time I saw my brother's best friend, his family owned the theater back then. I saw things in theater like Stop Making Sense when it first was out. I saw my first Rocky Horror Picture Show there, which was incredible.
Nice.
I mean, what a great, and I would just go there and just see whatever was playing. So I'm so happy that it's still there.
And guess what they did too? They built right there on North Avenue. They also built a big, fancy indie movie theater as well. I mean, it has a full bar and everything. It's like ranked like one of the best movie theaters on the East Coast. So yeah, like Baltimore is definitely promoting indie movies. I'm just shocked that Baltimore doesn't have a indie film festival.
Yeah. I mean, none that I know of. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I never like friends of mine who live in Maryland are like, when are you going to come here? And I'm like, I don't know. Because I mean, we haven't even been to DC I don't think we've ever been to DC for a film festival either.
I used to play a lot in my rock band. DC's got a great rock scene. Baltimore had a pretty decent scene too. But yeah, you're right.
So that's something that I'm working on. Baltimore will have a indie horror film festival before, I'll say, in the next year. So I'm working.
That's so cool. Fun. Well, you have to please. We're inviting ourselves.
Most definitely. and it will be between the Charles Theater and the other, the Parkway Movie Theater, because I mean, listen, Baltimore has such a huge art district and filmmakers, and it gets no recognition at all.
My other buddy there, he lived in Fells Point, and I don't know if this theater is there. There was this big coffee shop, and there was a cinema within, like behind the coffee shop, and he lived above it, so he could just go through the back door into the coffee shop. I don't remember the name, but Point. That was fun.
Like, because when I first got to Baltimore, once I got into like indie movies, I was shocked that Baltimore had a indie movie theater because a lot of cities don't have a indie movie theater specifically for indie movies.
Yeah, right. No, fact.
I actually drove past there a couple days ago, and they were showing the Iron Claw, which I do want to see.
Highly recommend.
It's pretty well done. Yeah, and it's neat to see somebody like Zac Efron, who is kind of like a matinee idol,
Yes,
kind of pour himself into a fucking difficult role, and it's really, I won't say much about it, but we recommend it.
Yeah, and John just screened. He attended
Oh, yeah.
a screening at a really fun art house, Philomoka, in Philadelphia, like in an old mausoleum, right?
Yeah, that was
nice.
Yeah, it's cool to see people. Yeah, I love these independent theaters that and people show up. That's the other thing is it shows. Oh, you know what? People want to go out, hang out, watch movies, eat popcorn.
Exactly. I mean, yes. I mean, I think in society, especially in this country, like indie filmmaking. I mean, listen, we know about it, we love it, but I just think everything is put on big motion blockbuster pictures, and even that is dying because more and more I go to the movie theaters often, and there's times where I go see a blockbuster movie and I'm the only person sitting in the theater.
Yeah.
So like it's, which I enjoy, but it's dying. I mean, more attention definitely needs to be put on indie theaters, and also too indie theaters like the Charles Theater. They're nowhere as expensive as these big name AMCs and Regals. I mean, they have reasonable prices. I mean, $2 or $3 for a big thing of a popcorn. I mean, they're pretty inexpensive. They're not there to necessarily make money.
You are so right, Travis. Like my favorite thing to do when I'm in New York City is to, if I have a couple hours, is to go to one of the art houses. Most of them are downtown, and whatever's playing next, I go to, and I know nothing about it. And I go in and I sit there with my popcorn. Often, like you say, I'm one of the only people in there, and I'm treated to something unexpected because I don't know what I'm seeing, and it could be Japanese, it could be Serbian, a film, and I've afforded, and I still have enough money to go like have dinner afterwards. Yeah, you're
Exactly.
so right. I have a question for you.
Shoot.
If you were to have your own movie theater, would it be strictly a movie theater? Would you serve food? Would there be a bar? And if so, would people be allowed to like eat while they're watching the movie theater, or would it be a sacred space where you could only have popcorn and Coke?
All right, so in Baltimore, I'm gonna answer that question. So Baltimore has a lot of movie theaters. They actually built one. It's called Cine Bistro, where you can get like a 3-course meal while you sit. And I've done that like 2 times. It takes away the feel of a movie theater. I think a movie theater is supposed to be a sacred place where you sit down in the dark, eat your popcorn, nachos, candy, soda. I wouldn't, and I've been to several movie theaters which Alderman, Baltimore now serve alcohol, and some people don't handle their alcohol well, especially in a quiet place. So you get a lot of talking and a lot of noise, and you also get a lot of people sneaking in alcohol because now you can drink in there. I mean, I just felt like the alcohol in a movie theater has taken some of the fun out of.
And everyone has to get up to go take a whiz every like 20 minutes.
And by the way, that is something that drives me nuts. I hate people, and listen. I know women have to do it because apparently women have small bladders, but I cannot stand. I hate when I see a man like get up every like 2 times doing a what's going on. I'm like, what is he doing? Like, we have larger bladders. Like, what is he doing? Like, is he like having a phone call or something? Like, I never understood getting up during a movie to use the bathroom in a movie theater, like, because most movies are about 90 minutes. Like, I always pee before I go in, sit down, and then have fun.
Yeah, we notice that in the festivals when we're at heavy drinking festivals. But I agree with you mostly about the talking part. I'm not. Yeah. I really don't like people talking.
But that's why I also don't see horror movies at night on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays, because it attracts a younger crowd, and it attracts horror movies track assholes. So I'm gonna put it out there. It does. It attracts assholes, and I listen. I love my assholes. I love my horror fans. I'm on them, but most horror fans are assholes, and so when you bring that younger crowd in and that asshole theme into a horror movie at night, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of joking about the movie, and I don't like for people to joke about Halloween or something like that, where there's a serious matter happening and you're making light of it. It just ruins the mood for me, and the constant cell phone and the bright lights and the cell phone watches constantly going off, that ruins it for me, the experience of a horror movie. Now, I can go through that with an action movie or a comedy, but a horror movie, I go see the matinee where I'm the only person on a Saturday at noon. I'm the only person in there. I can just immerse myself and be scared.
Smart.
Yes. All right, so I got a question for y'all now. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
This is a two-part. This is a question I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask John first, and then Toby. I may be asking some questions. What is one thing about John? Okay, what's one thing about Toby that you're like, wow, she is absolutely amazing at that, and I wish I had that skill or talent?
Okay, I could answer a lot of things, but the one that just comes to my head quickest is her understanding of the circles in a film. And what I mean by circles in a film is like maybe people call them arcs, or for me, it's like nothing in our films is there for no reason. Like everything always has to have a reason, and it has to have a circle so that you'll like get a hint of it at one point and that circle gets completed. So everything is whole. And I love that about Toby. Like if I didn't make films with Toby, my films would be a lot more empty. They'd be a lot more one-dimensional. And what Toby's great at is seeing the dimensions of characters or the dimensions even of objects. It doesn't matter, but everything has to do a full circle. So if that makes sense, that's my answer right now. I could do a lot of answers, but that's going to be my answer right now, is her ability to see the multidimensionality of films and stories and characters and objects.
That's awesome, because I mean, to add the layers,
yeah,
a great filmmaker definitely gives you hints and comes back around. You're like, oh, I remember why that went that way. It makes sense now.
And also all those hints are splinters of a bigger piece of wood, you know, and yes. Toby understands what that bigger piece of wood is, and she understands those splinters, and I love that. And I think that that's something that keeps people maybe watching our movies more than once, you know, and is that they'll go back, they'll be like, wait, I didn't quite understand something. So they'll go and they'll watch and they'll be like, oh my God, there's roots to that, you know?
That's awesome. And Toby, it's your turn.
Well, same thing. I could say a lot of stuff about John, because he's kind of one of the greatest talents I've ever known, in so many ways. But what I love about John is his confidence, and he just wasn't born with the no gene like some people, and I have the gene of doubt, or like I'm not sure I can do that, or fear to get stuff done. And John just is missing those genes. He's just like, he gets an idea, and he has so many of them, and he's like, I'm going to do it. And there's nothing that stands in his way. He just doesn't have the no gene. And I really admire that. And a lot of the reasons why we work as swiftly as we do and make as many films as we make is because John has just a wonderful engine. He's like, okay, let's keep going. You know, there's not a stick in his spoke. And it's a great quality.
That is an amazing quality. All right, now I'm going to ask you two random, crazy fucking questions. Are you ready? That has nothing to do with your movie or anything. All right, the first thing, since we were talking about movie theaters, what is your worst movie theater experience you've ever had?
Okay. Well, I'll go back to what kind of something we were talking about. I really don't like it when people put their phones on during the film. And so I have embarrassed my kids a bunch of times when they were little. I would just go up to people. And one time there was literally like kind of a family watching, and they all had their phones on. So I went up and I walked right in front of them. And I said to one of the parents, I was like, no. I was just like, no. And my kids were just traumatized. But I'm like, no, come on. We all want to watch this film. Like, do not, I can't deal with a line of 5 phones on in front of me. So I went to the store, the mother, and I said, no.
But it makes you question, like, why isn't the mother seeing this, and why isn't, like, it's weird. It's weird when you have to tell other people how to parent their kids.
Yeah, it's something I would never do, but movies are sacred to me. I turn into that monster.
So my worst one is one that was very confusing. I was in a theater in Los Angeles, and suddenly this woman started verbally attacking this guy who that to me hadn't done anything. Like they were both in front of me, and suddenly this lady just went crazy on this guy. Were you there that day? Yeah. And then the manager came and removed the guy, and it was a big stink, and everyone was watching, and the guy got removed. And then I went outside, and I said, the guy got ejected from the theater. And I said to the manager, I was like, I don't want to, I feel like I should just say that from my point of view, that lady attacked that guy. Like, I didn't see anything happen. Like, suddenly she was really attacking this dude. And I said, I feel like he shouldn't have been ejected. Like, and the manager said to me, this guy is actually a trouble. We've had to eject him a lot. And so I appreciate you talking to me about it, but what he's going to do is he does these things for free tickets.
Oh God.
And I was like, wow. And it's one of those things like where you miss, like where like sometimes in court or police, you see a crime. And that's why it was a terrible experience for me. Cause I kind of like, usually I try not to get involved in people's shit, but in this particular case, it looked so obvious that this guy was getting worked, but he wasn't. And then I felt bad about myself, and I felt bad about the whole entire thing. So that experience was bad because of one of those things where you didn't see the whole picture, and I felt bad about getting involved, and it was just bad.
That's crazy. I have a similar story like that. I'm not going to go into it, but it's a long one. But
it was crazy.
I have a similar, but it's a super long story. But I'll tell you off camera. But next question. Also about movie theaters. Do you hate when you're sitting down in a theater and there's plenty of seats open, and some random person sits right next to you?
Yes, I do.
It's people gravity. I fucking hate people gravity.
I always think it's so weird. I'm like, wait a minute. All these fucking rows of seats are available. Why are you sitting right directly next to me? Like, or even 2 seats from me? Like, what is this?
It's so weird. One time I was in the theater, honestly, it had to have been 100-seat theater. I was sitting smack dab in the middle. I think it was one of those things where you had to reserve a seat. And so I was sitting there, and next thing I know, in this empty theater, this woman comes and sits down next to me. And again, I'm like I think I'm a really nice person, but when I'm in the movie theater, I'm very, very protective of my experience. And I was like, really? And I just moved, and she looked at me like, and I think she didn't speak much English. She's like, oh, and she was going to show me her ticket. I guess she reserved a ticket right next to mine. So I was like, oh.
But why would you even reserve a ticket right next to someone unless it's sold out? Yeah. I'm not reserving a seat right directly next to someone. I'm just not doing it. And maybe I'm
I
weird.
honestly think that's people gravity because we have the same problem camping. Like we're a big camping family. We love going camping, and we love camping on something called Bureau of Land Management land, which basically you can go anywhere. Like there's no trails. It's just like thousands of acres. There's a lot of
Nice.
Bureau, land management land out west, and you wouldn't believe, like you hike for like a whole day, you don't see anybody, you set up your camp, the sun's setting, and suddenly this couple from Brooklyn rolls in and like puts their tent right next to you, and you're like, are you kidding me? Like we just hiked 15 miles into the middle of nowhere, and you have thousands of acres, and you park your tent next to us. It's like, and it's happened a couple times. And to me, it's people gravity. I don't know, I don't know what the source of people gravity is, but that's what I call it. It's like when, you're on a highway in the night and you pass somebody, you pass somebody going 7 miles an hour faster, and then suddenly they are driving right next to you for the rest of the night. You're like, we weren't, as soon as I got near you, suddenly we got people gravity. Like, just do your own thing.
Maybe it's kind of like how in the theory, like if you're in an ocean, then people want to swim next to you, so there are less choices for the sharks.
Well, that's smart.
That's smart.
Well, that's smart. I always swim next to, people that look tasty.
Actually, I'm gonna tell you my story. And since you've been to Baltimore, I don't know if you were around when this was in the news, but there was this man. They call him the PP man, right? And he was going into movie theaters and he was sitting next to women in like provocative little shorts, and he would expose himself. And like I heard about this story, somebody told me about it. I'm like, okay, that's not real. And I was sitting at Marley Station movie theater in Glen Burnie, Maryland, and I seen this big guy come in with wearing like booty shorts, and I'm like, I'm like, okay, that's whatever, but. And he sits literally, there's plenty of seats available, and he sits right next to me. And I'm looking like, why is this guy sitting next to me? Like, there's nothing but seats available. And I just heard a lot of rustling going on in his seat. And like, yeah, he had his thing out. And I like literally freaked out. And I was like, oh my goodness, I just got violated by the PP man.
Oh man.
Yes, but that was the one experience in the movie theater that I was like, that was bizarre, and like,
that's one to put in the notebook.
Yeah, that's one I was like, okay, I'm not going back to that theater. I don't want to. I don't know how I'm going to react the next time. All right. So John and Toby, how can everyone find you?
Well, we have a website, wonderwheelproductions.com, which has basically like trailers and links to all of our movies where you can see them in synopses and such for the whole gamut of our films. But then mostly we're on Instagram, adams.family.films. And then Twitter, or whatever it's called, X, is Adams_films. And then we're on like Facebook individually.
We're on Facebook, and we love talking to people. So if anybody wants to talk to us about stuff, we're there.
Awesome. I'm friends with you guys on Instagram. I gotta find you on Facebook now. I'm more on Facebook than I am Instagram, but I try to do both because that's what you're supposed to do, right? But
we're slowly moving towards Instagram. Actually, Facebook. What we like about Instagram is it kind of stays off of the politics, which is we're there. We're here more for fun than stress.
And I'm learning now with Instagram, when you post something, it'll go straight to your Facebook, and Facebook doesn't do that apparently. So like, it's like, oh wow, I only have to post something in one place, and it just goes everywhere I need.
Boom. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, listen, everyone, go onto Tubi, the amazing free streaming app, and check out Where the Devil Roams, Tubi exclusive. It is a dark, fun time with a banging ass soundtrack. John, Toby, it's been a pleasure having you on. Listen, you guys are more than welcome to come on anytime.
Thank
Travis.
you, Travis. Super nice conversation with you today, and very
good luck
much
at the film
appreciated.
festival. I really
Yes.
hope. I look forward to that.
I've been like pondering over it for the last couple of weeks. I'm like, why doesn't Baltimore have a fucking film festival? Like, this is weird. Like, and I started doing research. I'm like, it's not that hard to start a film festival, and we have a mayor who likes doing artsy things. Like, let me see if this works.
Do it.
It will work. And also, let's thank. I just want to thank Chris Shern
Yes,
for
Chris Shern.
putting us all up, because that's how it works.
Yes. Chris is amazing. By the way, if you haven't a chance, watch that interview. That's an amazing interview with Chris and I. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Peace.
Thank you.